Thank you, Ronit, for that wonderful introduction. And good morning, everybody. I must confess I'm very excited. Your Excellency, Ambassador Pavan Kapoor, we're touched that you didn't hesitate, even for a minute, as you stepped into office, to accept our invitation to grace us with your presence at this symposium, understanding its significance internationally and its salience to Israeli Indians. Professor Zvi Moret, Chairman of the Academic Board of the Babylonian Jewry Heritage Center, Dr. Zvi Yehuda, Director of the Research Institute at the Center, distinguished professors, colleagues, guests, and friends. It is my privilege and delight to greet you at the opening of this first International Symposium on Baghdadi Jews in India. Who knows, maybe there'll be another one. For years, lured by the sambusak and delicious Iraqi food, I have been attending the academic council meetings of the Babylonian Jewish Heritage Center as a researcher of Indian Jewry. About a decade ago, on one of his multiple trips to Israel, during which he invariably contacted me, I managed to persuade General Jacob, in blessed memory, to donate his mother's costumes and some other valuable artifacts to this museum. Due to my close relations with the Embassy of India in Israel, I'm the founding chairperson of the Israel-India Friendship Association, and Maestro Zubin Mehta, who apparently gave the most brilliant concert last night, was the president. The items arrived duly with no problems. But besides this isolated incident, when I've actively helped build up the collection of this amazing museum, I felt that I hadn't done enough to justify my wolfing up those delicious sambusak at each meeting. So at the last council meeting, I suggested organizing an international symposium on the Jews of Baghdad, from Baghdad in India. I believe that many of my colleagues at that meeting might have been skeptical, but I was confident. For years, I have built up relations with a fine cadre of people the world over, who are either of Baghdadi origin or who have devoted some of their lives to researching this amazing community. And amazing they are. At best, the Baghdadis in India were 100 or 150 years, but they left behind a legacy which still dominates three major cities today: Mumbai, Pune, and Kolkata. There is nobody in India who has not heard of the Gateway to India, financed in large part by the Sassoons. Many in Bombay know the Sassoon Docks, the Sassoon Library, the clock tower at Victoria Gardens in Baikala, the statue of the Prince Consort with a Hebrew translation at its base, the Sassoon cotton and jute mills, and so on and so on. In Pune, the extraordinary spire of the Baghdadi synagogue Lal Dawal, pointing to heaven, and the Sassoon Hospital are evidence to other Indians of the power and philanthropy of this tiny Jewish minority. And in Calcutta, urban landmarks fossilize the presence of the now nearly extinct community of Calcutta Baghdadis, who will always be remembered by fellow Indians as the Jewish Arabian princes of the East. However, the Baghdadis are amazing from another point of view. The Jews of the Raj had a glorious life, complete with servants, summer houses, clubs, and racehorses, the historical illusion only to be shattered by Indian independence in 1947. They were different from their colonizers in color, religion, and status. Yet in different contexts, they identified with those very colonizers. After the withdrawal of the British from India, with whom the Baghdadis had associated as non-Indians, many decided to emigrate to the UK, Palestine, and then Israel, and the US, and others settled permanently in Australia and Canada. They left with very little ado. As soon as they departed, they adapted with impressive ability to economic hardships, machines instead of servants, and European culture instead of that Iraqi Indian melange that made their lives so special in India. Their resilience is one of the most impressive things I have ever encountered. With no complaints, with no grudges about their fate, they adapted to the new hosts and societies and moved on. Most married members of the local Jewish communities in which they integrated. However, in all these transformations, they never gave up one thing: family. Their sense of community and togetherness to this day goes beyond globalization. Their interdependence defies national boundaries. And this is exemplified today. After a few emails which I initiated, the Baghdadi community rallied together. All the academics on this program come from the wider gamut of the Baghdadi Indian Jewish diaspora, and all the other lecturers at their own expense to take part in this international symposium. Where does this happen in other academic conferences? My own friends, personal friends from the Sofa families, my friend Linda Rifkind of the Rembaum family, Sam Marshall and Ruth Solomon, and others agreed spontaneously to sponsor the symposium. Much has been said and written about the Baghdadis in the Far East, but this is the first time in history that a conference is being held about their history and heritage and their achievements in India. And would India look the same without the Baghdadis? The immediate answer is no, for the contribution of the Baghdadi community to India was significant and enduring. General Jacob, Zichrono Livracha, will remain part of Indian history for many generations to come. Not only was he responsible for negotiating the surrender of the Pakistani forces in Dhaka in 1971, but he also entered politics subsequently, holding politics such as the governor of Goa and Haryana and the Punjab. Throughout, he was both utterly loyal to India and a proud Jew and a fierce supporter of Israel. The idea that the focus of the symposium had to be on India was supported with tolerance by one and all. And for those interested in the Jews of India, this perhaps will be the opening or the first in a series of future conferences. The organization leading up to this symposium has been witness to the flexibility, adaptability, and positive disposition of the Baghdadi Indians. And it could not have been done alone. My thanks to the museum, which readily threw its doors open, to Ronit Azuri, its general manager, to Limor Katan, who was a huge source of help and support, and finally to friends in the Baghdadi community. I would like to mention in particular Edwin Shuker, who came especially and has devoted many years of his life to preserving the heritage of Baghdadi Jews in India. All these people supported my serendipitous idea and my insistence that this conference on India had to be done here in Israel. Thank you very much.